So Elon replied to a Bloomberg host with a number he wrote down, and now we all have to decide if he's visionary or just really comfortable being wrong about timelines. Here's what happened. John Ehrlichman from BNM Bloomberg posted Morgan Stanley's SpaceX revenue forecasts on X. Their numbers were concrete: 2025, 18.7 billion, 2028, 160 billion, 2030, 330 billion. Then Elon replied, quote, "I think SpaceX might be able to reach approximately 1 trillion revenue in 2030. Then I would be surprised if revenue is not greater than 1 trillion in 2031. 1 trillion. By 2030. That's roughly 3 times what Morgan Stanley itself is forecasting for that same year." So let's actually do the math. SpaceX made some number in 2024. Let's call it roughly 5 billion. Morgan Stanley's saying 18.7 billion for 2025. That's growth. But to hit 1 trillion in 5 years, you're looking at roughly 53 times the 2025 revenue. 53x. No company with SpaceX's current scale has ever done that. Not Apple, not Google, not Amazon in their fastest growth years. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Elon isn't just throwing a number at the wall. He's got a thesis. He broke down SpaceX into 3 divisions: space and launch, connectivity through Starlink, and AI through XAI. And yeah, XAI is a thing. SpaceX acquired it earlier in 2026. That's the bet. Starlink's already doing something real. The 2025 revenue was 11.4 billion. Subscribers hit 10.3 million by March 2026, up from 8.9 million a few months before. That's a real business. The connectivity play is happening. The crazy part is the AI division. If you model out what Goldman Sachs was saying in their roadshow, and these are the people who took the company public, they're basically saying AI grows 100x from now until 2030, lands at roughly 320 billion in revenue. That gets SpaceX to about 470 billion total. Still nowhere near the 1 trillion number. Okay, but let's zoom out. ARK Invest, which published their expected value model, they're the credible bull here. They're modeling Starlink TAM, total addressable market, and launch cadence based on what's actually happening. They're not guessing, they're extrapolating. And even their bullish case doesn't require Elon's number. It's possible, just not probable based on the path we're seeing. Here's the thing about Elon and timelines. He's directionally right more often than the skeptics want to admit. SpaceX reusable rockets? Everyone said it was impossible. He did it. Starlink hitting millions of users? People said the latency made it useless. It works. But his timing estimates, those are flexible. He said Tesla would have fully self-driving by 2015. We're in 2026, and we're still waiting. So the question isn't really, will SpaceX hit 1 trillion revenue eventually? Maybe. Eventually is a long time. The question is by 2030. And the answer is probably no. But is it possible? Technically, yes. If you believe Starlink penetration accelerates way beyond current trends, if AI revenue scales like he thinks, if the space launch business explodes, all at once, in 5 years. It's a dream. It's just not backed by the trajectory we're seeing right now. Let me put this another way. SpaceX is valued at roughly 2 trillion in what people are paying for shares right now. If the company hits 1 trillion in revenue by 2030, what's the stock worth? That depends on the multiple. At a conservative 2x sales, which is low for a growing company, you're at 2 trillion in market cap. We're basically there. At 5x sales, you're at 5 trillion. At that point, a single share could be worth significantly more than what people paid in the IPO. The math works. The timeline is the question. So here's my take. Elon's not lying. He believes it. He's probably not insane, but he's also probably wrong about when. The path to 1 trillion revenue exists. It just looks more like 2035 than 2030. And that matters if you're a shareholder banking on near-term returns. It doesn't matter if you're betting on the long-term thesis that SpaceX becomes the compute and connectivity backbone of a space-based economy. Because that thesis is real. It's just not a 5-year story. If you're thinking about SpaceX as a long-term bet on space infrastructure and AI, the valuation makes sense. If you're banking on Elon's timeline, you're probably going to be disappointed. Drop a comment. Are you more convinced by the Morgan Stanley path or the ARK Invest model? I'm curious where people are actually hedging on this one. And if you want the deeper dive on how insider buying signals conviction on this stuff, I went deep on the Ron Barron move after the IPO. Link in the description. Speaking of judges and Elon, a Delaware judge overseeing 2 of his cases got removed in March after she allegedly clicked support on a LinkedIn post where a jury consultant wrote, and I'm quoting, "It was a pleasure working against you." The judge later deactivated her LinkedIn account. Musk's lawyers called it bias, the courts called it a reassignment, LinkedIn called it engagement. Okay, that's a wrap. Subscribe for the daily market brain dump. Have a good one.